Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Rise Fitness and Nutrition Podcast. I'm your host, Carlo. This is episode 4 and the second episode of the Dieting 101 mini series. Today, we're gonna pick up from where we left last week and we're gonna see what else is missing when you approach a new diet and how to make it sustainable for the long term. I hope you enjoy this one. Have a nice listening. During the first episode of the Dieting 101 mini-series, we had talked about why it matters eating your protein, why it matters checking your weight, and drinking water. What are we talking about today? Today we're gonna go through another list of action steps. So again, you might wanna listen to this podcast once, and you might wanna listen to it again, maybe with pen and paper down, because these other information are crucial if you have a weight loss or body transformation goal. Let's talk about eating patterns. A trick I use myself when it comes to food, well, I eat my veggies and my protein first, and carbs last. Why? Well, because proteins and veggies will keep me fuller and satisfied for a longer time, whereas carbohydrates will give me the feeling of being still hungry, and then maybe I can have the another 3 donuts to fulfill the craving. First thing. Secondly, eat slowly and mindfully. Are you aware that you're eating, or are you just gulping down stuff? Think about it. Be mindful. There's a huge talk about mindfulness these days, but it's mostly applied to business, but actually it applies to eating behaviors and eating patterns too. So be aware when you're eating, what you're eating, and enjoy that. You don't have to just gulp everything. And don't drink your calories. We already mentioned this already. Water is your greatest ally. Coffee and tea are your friends too, but just be careful of everything else but milk inside them. It might be that those drinks are packed with calories that you do not necessarily are aware of, and most importantly, you certainly do not need. Lastly, you don't have to be so full that you're going to explode after every meal. You can stand up a little bit hungry. I can guarantee it will not kill you. I mentioned this already, but let me tell you again. The total calories and macronutrients at the end of the day matter more than the time you eat them. So stop panicking if you have dinner at 8 to 5 p.m. and in the dinner there are some carbohydrates. So sit down, take a deep breath, and enjoy the meal. Okay, here comes the tricky part. How do you calculate your calories? There are tons of calculators online that can confuse things a lot. So to start from, think about this. A reasonable estimate of how many calories you should eat per day can be achieved by this calculation. Again, it's a reasonable estimate. It's not fixed in stone. So you can adapt this to your needs and according to how you feel. So basically, take your goal body weight in pounds and multiply that by 12, the number of months in a year, and you'll have a range of calories you should be in. Plus, minus 10-15% is also acceptable as long as you feel and you can see the result you expect in the long term. Not tomorrow morning, not in 2 days, not even in 3 days. That is crucial. And why your weight in pounds? Because it's a different value that works perfectly for this formula. Let me make an example for you. So imagine I wanted to reach 70 kilos or 154 pounds. So I should eat 154 times 12 equals 1,848 calories, plus minus 10-15%. It's fine. I can go a little higher, I can go a little lower, as long as I stay around that value. If one day I go to the gym and I try super heavy, I can have a little more. If one day I'm not doing anything specific, I can have that or a little less. You know what I mean? Okay, so how do I apply this to my daily food intake? Well, I am not going to lie. This is the hard part, but it's something that once you master will allow you lifelong lasting satisfactions and result. Let's see how to do that. 1. You have to buy a kitchen scale. I know, it's annoying, but you need to get one. It's very useful. And my personal recommendation, get a kitchen scale that can measure heavy weights. And by heavy weights, I mean, I don't know, up to 5 kilos. The reason why is that if you're going to do any food prep, having a scale that can take heavier weights, it's a lot more efficient. Then weigh the food you're cooking and be aware of its macronutrients using any calculator, website, app, anything that suits your needs in a smooth way. Now you will be aware that, for example, 100 grams of chicken breast have more or less 30 grams of protein and 165 calories. Add that towards your daily goal, repeat by the other foods you're preparing, and boom, you're set. I suggest you to get a macronutrients tracker app to avoid going crazy on numbers by yourself. But Carlo, I'm going out for dinner or drinks. All my progress will be ruined. What am I gonna do? Okay, not at all. This is also important to understand, as going a bit overboard will not ruin your progress. Let me say this one more time. Having extra food or drinks in a couple of occasions over the week will not destroy your progress. This is exactly like throwing away a button-down shirt because you lost one single button. Enjoy your dinner, enjoy your drinks, and get back to your normal routine the day after. Period. This links us to the next one. Be consistent over time. It is okay to have extras during the week, but for the other days, be consistent as progress moves along with consistency. We talked about consistency previously, and we will talk about consistency more. Again, the more consistent you can be, the easier the progress will be. Speaking of which, be consistent and add some training, some exercise, some movement to your daily routine. It doesn't mean that tomorrow you have to become an elite power lifter, but adding strength training and in general considering being more active, it is extremely helpful because it changes your mindset, it changes your body, it changes the way you perceive food and the way you perceive your health. One thing overall, if you can't do anything, again, I told this to you already, walk. Just walk. When you feel you have been consistent over a reasonable amount of weeks but nothing changed, ask yourself, have you been really consistent? How consistent? If you have troubles assessing your consistency, here are my suggestions. Number one, write down a complete food log of everything you eat and drink. You remember the coffee you had this morning with 2 creamers and 2 spoonfuls of sugar? Well, that very much matters. And when you've done that, ask yourself, the food that you eat and drink, does it fit your daily calories and macros intake? We put our efforts, we put our goodwill, we do our best. But it becomes sometimes difficult to really have a clear view of the food that we eat and the drinks that we have during the day. And I'm not pointing a finger at anybody because I have been there as well. I had some goals and I had some results that I wanted to achieve, and I myself was trying to achieve them, and I was doing my best effort, but I couldn't achieve them, and I was wondering like what was wrong because I was doing everything that I thought it was correct. I thought I was doing everything by the record, by the manual, but then it turns out that in my case, I was under eating. So my case was different. I wanted to increase my body weight, to increase my muscle mass throughout strength training. And it didn't matter how hard I trained, my body didn't change. And then I realized that by checking everything that I was eating and drinking, I was very much under eating. So I wasn't even close to hitting my daily calories and macros intake. So when I realized that, I changed it, and there you go. My body started to grow according to the exercise and the diet that I was having. So if writing down a food log is not enough, here is my second suggestion. Buy a calendar and choose a pen of a color that you like. Every time you hit your calories and macros intake, fill in the day with the color. This is what I call a consistency token. How many consistency tokens do you have at the end of the month? Are they 70% or more over the course of the entire month? If they are less, well, there you have it. Something to work on. Less consistency just means slower progress. So if you're expecting to reach some results in a specific amount of time and you don't, well, have a look at your consistency. Again, we put our goodwill, we put our best efforts, but sometimes it's difficult to keep track of those things. So if you have been more than 70% consistent over the course of the month, well, check your food intake again. Chances are, I promise, chances are that there are hidden calories that are sneaking through your diet and that are not enabling you to reach the progress. This is by any means not exhaustive. There is a lot to talk about, but again, I wanted to highlight the main principles that are behind the moments when you approach a new diet. And I really, really, really want to stress this out. When you are approaching a new diet, you need to be consistent and you need time. Changing your body, whatever your goal is, takes time. So do not expect results overnight because this will lead to delusion. And this will lead to the this behavior, and this will lead to go back to unhealthy patterns. So keep those things in mind. And this ends the Dieting 101 mini series, 2 episodes to help you approach a new diet and a new lifestyle. And that was it for today. Thank you super much for listening all the way through here. This ends our Dieting 101 mini series. I hope you learned something new, and I really hope that this can help you when you're starting and approaching a new diet. For any comment or feedback, please let me know what you think. You can reach me on my Instagram channel at thecarl.fit. Talk to you soon. Have a great day.